guys, it's Emily, and today I'm here to bring you part one of what I read in March. I am surprised I've read 3 books already because I've sort of been binge watching that 70s show, and like last weekend, all I did was watch that show and not read anything. So it's pretty cool, and I've still managed to get 3 books in since the beginning of March. So let's just get right into it. The first book I want to mention is A House Full of Daughters, a memoir of 7 generations by Juliet Nicolson. This is a memoir of Juliet Nicholson's life, and I picked, or not life, her family. It starts with her great-grandmother, and it goes all the way through to her granddaughter, and so it covers 7 generations. And I picked this up specifically because Juliet Nicolson wrote one of my all-time favorite nonfiction books, which is called The Perfect Summer, and that's about England right before World War I starts. It's like the summer of 1911, I believe, and they just show you like how idyllic life was, or she just shows you how idyllic life was, and I really enjoyed it. And so when I saw this at our library, I put it on my DVR, and I finally got to it. And so this book is sort of showing Juliet Nicholson's family and how the mother-daughter relationships were throughout the years. And I didn't know this, but Juliet Nicholson is actually the product of 2 like really famous families in Britain, the Nicholson family and then the Sackville West family. And both of these families are, well known, and like her father is a well-known naval historian, I believe, or like at least like a military historian. And right after I started reading this, I was at a bookstore and I actually saw a book by her father, and I was like, oh my goodness, I had never seen one before, and it just happened to be there, probably because his name was on my mind, because I had read it in here. But anyway, so this book is showing the mother-daughter relationships, and it's pretty fascinating because, like, her great-great-great-grandmother was a dancer in Spain, and then she met her, the man that becomes Juliet's great-great-great-grandfather, because he was a diplomat and he was in Spain, and they met, but they weren't married, so there was sort of a scandal, so she had to like live alone, and the children were illegitimate and all that. And then it just goes on, like, the next grandma was like a hostess in Washington, D.C., and then the next one was Vita Sackville West, who is known for who's a writer, but she's also known for being Virginia Woolf's lover. And anyway, it just goes on from there. I liked the first part of this book a lot, but then once she started getting into like the people that she has known personally, it kind of got weird because she sort of started like telling all her secrets. Well, like for example, okay, her father, Harold Nicholson, apparently like really didn't like sex, and he was very repressed in some way, and he like would barely ever have sex with his wife, and so his wife like had an affair and stuff, and she was just like talking about this and discussing her parents' marriage and her parents' sex life, and I don't know, it just got weird. I was like, why are you talking about this in such detail? It's like a normal person would not want to be discussing this, much less in a book that like a lot of people are going to read. I don't know, it just made me uncomfortable, and almost all of the relationships in here are like negative in some way. Like either the mother hates the daughter, or the daughter hates the mother, or the mother is jealous of the daughter. Like Juliet's mother, Juliet got into Oxford, and she was like the first woman to go in her family, and her mother actually tried to talk her out of going, and like tried to say that she wasn't smart enough to make it at Oxford because her mother was jealous. But I was just like, what? Like, I just think about my mom, and my mom's like the most supportive mom, and whenever I'm like, I want to do this, my mom's like, oh great, how can I help you, and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, why would a mother tell her daughter that she's not good enough to go to college? Like, And this was in the 1970s. It wasn't like in the 50s or something. It was like pretty recently. And I don't know. I just like, I liked this, but I felt like it was too, it was giving too much detail, and it was also kind of depressing in some regards. So I don't know if I recommend it. If you really want to read family memoirs and you really like them, you might like it. But otherwise, there's lots of memoirs out there, It's like, this isn't the best one ever by any means. So yeah. Next book I want to mention is Murder on Capitol Hill by Margaret Truman. I read this for March Mystery Madness. I read the bulk of this in one day, and it's a really fast read. It's only like 250 pages, so it's a real quick read if you're looking for a mystery to read. This details a murder of a senator. His wife throws him a party, and he is found dead at the party with an ice pick in his heart. And so, of course, there's the police investigation, but then because he's such a prominent senator, Congress decides to open up an investigation to make sure nobody that is, affiliated with Congress was involved, and they hire Lydia to be the lawyer for it because she's a friend of his wife's, and his wife personally recommends her, and so they go along, and she's working on the case, but she keeps getting thwarted. People don't really want her investigating things. They keep saying, just write the report and, say that nobody had anything to do with it. And even his wife, even though the senator's wife, is the one that had suggested Lydia, she starts telling Lydia, don't dig up old history, just stick to the present, stick to the fact that he was murdered. And then somebody's arrested for the murder, and people are like, oh yeah, now it's done. And Lydia's like, no, I actually think there's something else going on. And anyway, it's just about how she finds out who killed the senator and how she keeps getting thwarted. And there's sort of some weird stuff in here, There's one person who's a suspect that's involved with a cult, and so there's a lot of discussion of that cult, and Lydia goes to the headquarters, and it's really creepy and all of that stuff. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's a really quick read. I gave it 3 stars, it's pretty average. It was, nothing to write home about, but it was still a pretty good book, and I enjoyed it. So, yeah, one book down for March Mystery Madness. The book I finished in March was The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, but while I was filming this, I kind of went on a rant about this book, so I decided to cut that part off and make it into a separate video. So I'll post that later on. But I found this book engaging, and I found it very relevant to our times, but I didn't love it like a lot of people seem to do. I found that there were some parts that didn't make sense to me, and I don't know, I just was expecting more from it, and I didn't get it. So yeah, I'll post my review of that later on, but yeah, this was a pretty good book, but it wasn't what I was expecting. So yeah, that's all I've read so far in March, and I'll be back soon with my Handmaid's Tale review and with what I read the rest of the month. See you later, bye!